big crowd, so let's go ahead and get started. Running a couple minutes late to make sure everyone that went to the police department, where we usually host these events, has had a chance to make their way over here. Hopefully they've been able to. We'll go ahead and get started, and I appreciate everybody being here. I want to start out by saying how awesome it is to have this kind of turnout for these events. What we do certainly doesn't occur in a vacuum. This is a service career, and we're only able to provide the type of service that law enforcement and first responders, for that matter, can provide, with a support network around us that includes family and friends, and that includes all of the people in city government and partnerships in law enforcement. I'm going to miss, as big as this crowd is, I'm going to miss a few, but I'll mention the ones that I've been able to see. And I've already seen that our mayor is here, Mayor Pope, Councilman Steve Massengale. If there's other council members out there, if you wouldn't mind to stand up and let me recognize you. I know that some of them were going to try to make it here. If they're here, we appreciate that. Our regional DPS director, Gary Albus, if you would stand up. We appreciate you being here, sir. Our partnership is awesome there. We have members of the Sheriff's Department. I didn't see if Sheriff Rowe was able to make it or not. We have an awesome partnership with the Sheriff's Department. A couple of our school district chiefs, Chief Cypress, I saw in the back, is back there if you could wave, and Chief Esparza, who's a retired LPD assistant chief, also is here. We have another school district police chief that's with us. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. And our members from our Citizens Police Academy alumni, if you all could stand up, whoever's in here. I've seen a couple of you. Appreciate you guys being here, and I think I've seen a couple of members from our Community Engagement Committee. Some of those folks are going to come. And again, there's a lot of people again, a big crowd, but we appreciate all of the support that we get from the community and from all of those folks. And our city manager, Jared Atkinson, I know I saw here where you're at, if you could stand up. There he is in the back. He's already standing up. He's taller than me, so for all I know, he was sitting down still. That's the other members of our city management team that I've seen in the crowd. That kind of support that we get across the board is just awesome. So we're going to do a lot of recognition. It's a big ceremony. This first one of these of the year, we do our quarterly awards for the last quarter of 2018. We'll do our yearly awards. We have life-saving awards, we have distinguished service awards, we have promotions, and we have retirements. And so we're gonna launch right into that. And the first awards that we're going to do are 3 Purple Heart awards. And in partnership with that, I want to call Commander Steve Owen with the Military Order of the Purple Heart to start off.
Good afternoon, Chief. Thank you. Good afternoon. Back in 1782, General George Washington created the Badge of Military Merit. Back then, it was just a little Purple Heart with a red fringe on it, and it was awarded to any individual in the Continental Army or rebel who had been wounded or killed in action during the Revolutionary War. As the first medal ever awarded to the enlisted personnel. Prior to that time, everything went to the officers. In 1958, Congress chartered the Military Order of the Purple Heart as a way to recognize the contribution that these individuals, these wounded individuals, made to the support for our freedom. And part of that charter was to recognize our first responders. They are in life's hazard way, so to speak, every day. And sometimes they are injured, sometimes their lives are lost. And so on behalf of the 3.2 million military members who have received the Purple Heart, we recognize them by giving them a plaque that recognizes their service from the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Our Chapter 0900 is here in Lubbock, and we range all the way down to Midland, Odessa. There's 52 active members in that chapter. But I would like for Officer Donovan Powell, Officer Mark Ellison, and Officer Saul Garay to come forward, please. I'd like to read the citation that's on these plaques. It Says the Military Order of the Purple Heart First Responder Citation. This one is awarded to Officer Donovan Powell, Field Services Bureau, Lubbock Police Department, in recognition of resolute action and wounds received in the performance of duties on April 6, 2017, presented by Chapter 0900, Lubbock, Texas, Military Order of the Purple Heart. Officer Donovan. Officer Mark Ellison. And Officer Saul Garay.
On Thursday, April 6, 2017, Officer Saul Garay, Officer Donovan Powell, and Officer Mark Ellison responded to the 3200 block of 62nd Street due to a civil disturbance over an eviction. They arrived on scene and encountered one of the involved parties, Carlos Martinez, whom they identified and began checking for warrants. Upon verification of outstanding warrants, Officer Powell ordered Mr. Martinez out of his vehicle, but he refused to comply. Officer Ellison began assisting Officer Powell with attempting to remove Martinez from the vehicle, but he was able to put the keys in the ignition and start the vehicle. As this was occurring, Officer Garay approached the passenger side and removed an unrestrained child in the vehicle out of harm's way. The suspect put the vehicle into reverse and rapidly accelerated the vehicle, while Officer Powell and Officer Ellison were partially inside the vehicle. Officer Garay was struck by an open passenger door before the suspect vehicle collided into a parked patrol vehicle. Officer Ellison and Officer Powell fell to the ground, sustaining injuries. The suspect then drove forward toward the officers, resulting in shots fired at the suspect. The suspect continued his escape as Officer Garay, although injured, immediately went to the aid of Officer Powell, who was lying on the ground. All three officers were taken to University Medical Center and treated for their injuries sustained in the line of duty. The suspect was eventually located and arrested. For injuries sustained in the line of duty in conformance to the criteria of the Military Order of the Purple Heart First Responder Program, and in conjunction to that award, Officer Saul Garay, Officer Donovan Powell, and Officer Mark Ellison are hereby awarded the Law Enforcement Purple Heart.
Police work's inherently dangerous. And it's but a lot of prayer that makes sure that those guys went home that evening and that everything worked out the way that it did. So we're going to move on to our Distinguished Service Award. If we could get Sergeant Chad Worm to come up, please.
Sergeant Chad Worm, upon the nomination by your immediate supervisor and the approval by the Lubbock Police Department Awards Committee, you are hereby recognized and praised for your service as a supervisor in the LPD Support Services Bureau Training Division. You were assigned to the Training Academy in January of 2016. Since that time, you have been the class sergeant for 10 academy and lateral officer classes. For each class, you had a large and wide-ranging list of duties which required a great amount of structure and attention to detail, such as scheduling classes, coordinating with instructors, and handling recruit issues. You have also served to guide, mentor, and lead each of those classes. While it was not one of your assigned duties, you have worked hard and contributed to a large amount to the recruiting efforts of the Academy through suggestions, brainstorming new ideas, and the civil service testing processes. During your time at the Academy, LPD has seen some of the highest numbers of new hires in recent years. You have also served as the LPD coordinator and liaison for the Lubbock Law Enforcement Citizens Academy. The assignment required an immense amount of leadership and responsibility, which you readily accepted and excelled. Your work was instrumental in launching the program. Your tireless efforts in coordinating events and demonstrations and communicating with other area agencies and the civilians in the program have been invaluable. This program requires large amounts of time and attention, many times requiring you to attend functions and meetings outside of your normal work hours. Your work with the Citizens Academy has been outstanding and represented the LPD in a most favorable way to the community. Sergeant Worm, you have performed with distinction and dedication to the success of the LPD and the excellence in the performance of your duties in the training division. You rightfully deserve the Distinguished Service Award. Thank you for a job well done.
It's good work. We have a life-saving award. If Officer Rachel Forrester could come up, please.
Officer Rachel Forrester, in the early morning hours of December 2nd, 2018, you heard a call go out regarding a possible dead body in the 2700 block of East 2nd Place. The call sheet indicated a woman had prematurely given birth to a child. Despite not being assigned to the call, you took the initiative and responded to assist. Upon arrival, you assisted EMS with getting the mother to move so the infant could be assessed. As soon as the umbilical cord was cut, EMS personnel handed you the baby and advised you to help stimulate the newborn by rubbing her with dry blankets. You continued to do this while taking the baby to the ambulance, where oxygen was provided and other EMS personnel took over treatment of the baby. Ultimately, the baby survived thanks in part to your actions that day. You were nominated by your supervisor, who noted your actions were a credit to the profession and the department, and your intent was not for the purpose of seeking recognition, a letter, or award. You simply did it because it was the right thing to do. The command staff of the Field Services Bureau and the LPD Awards Committee agreed with that assessment. Therefore, you are hereby recognized and praised for your actions and awarded the Lubbock Police Department's Life-Saving Award. In the worst of times, you were at your best. Thank you.
We have two Good Citizens Award. One thing that we recognize is that we're all in this together, and we're not able to by ourselves bring the level of public safety that a city like Lubbock needs and wants, and so we rely on our citizens to help us in that endeavor. We have two Good Citizens Awards, and the first of those, if I could get Mr. Yunt to come up. Oh, so we'll do these both at the same time. If Mr. Kalopoulos, I think I said that right, could come up as well.
On the morning of December 16, 2018, you both witnessed a traffic crash at 19th Street and University Avenue. One of the drivers immediately fled the area. Mr. Yount, you attended to the remaining driver, who is unconscious and injured. You placed yourself in the vehicle and immediately utilized your skill set as an emergency room nurse to provide the initial medical assistance until an ambulance arrived. Mr. Koliopoulos, after seeing the crash, you followed the fleeing driver, who eventually stopped a few blocks away and fled on foot. You directed officers to the location of the vehicle, and ultimately, the fleeing driver was located and arrested for intoxication assault and failure to stop and render aid because of your assistance. Mr. Yount and Mr. Koliopoulos, your efforts that day did not go unnoticed. On behalf of the Lubbock Police Department, we recognize and greatly appreciate you both for going above and beyond to aid a member of our community in a time of need. These selfless actions impressed the command staff of the Field Services Bureau, and as a result, you were nominated and approved for the Lubbock Police Department Good Citizen Award. Thank you both.
We are truly all in this together. So we're gonna move to our quarterly awards for the fourth quarter of 2018, and there's 4 categories. There is the Officer of the Year that comes from our Field Services Bureau, typically patrol officers, and then there is a quarterly award for an officer out of investigations or between investigations and administration, and then there is a Supervisor's Award, and then there is a civilian quarterly award. So for the fourth quarter of 2018, the Officer of the Quarter is Officer Colton Perkle. If you could come up, please.
Officer Colton Perkle, after nomination by the Field Services Bureau, Executive and Command Staff, you are hereby recognized as the Lubbock Police Department's Field Services Bureau Officer of the Fourth Quarter. Your immediate supervisor described you as consistently one of the most active officers on Nights Bravo. You constantly use your downtime to work toward making our community safer. Recent examples of taking initiative include the targeting of high crime areas, such as local game rooms known for illegal narcotic activity, identifying suspects for detectives, following up on the sound of gunshots that resulted in locating a victim and identifying the suspect, and on one occasion, hearing a car alarm and locating a suspect attempting to break into a business. Also, in the last quarter, you arrested a suspect for aggravated kidnapping and assault in which the victim was being held captive and physically assaulted. In addition to working hard while on shift with the Field Services Bureau, you have also proven yourself as a valued member of the Lubbock PD SWAT. Although you are relatively new to the team, you make yourself available to assist with training and anything else needed to be done. Your supervisor noted, you always look for ways to improve, and you display a good attitude by being open to criticism and understanding it makes you better. You have applied your training and safely served multiple high-risk warrants. Overall, your chain of command has been impressed with your decision-making ability in patrol and SWAT, and took notice that you demonstrate integrity and use the type of judgment that would be expected of an officer well beyond your years. Your work ethic and participation in the LPD organization reflects positively on the department and benefits the community you serve. Thank you for the job you have done and for what you continue to do for the city of Lubbock.
From our investigations and administration side of the house, the Detective of the Quarter for the final quarter of 2018 is Detective Sadie Stevens. If you could come forward, please.
Detective Sadie Stevens, after nomination by the Investigation Services Bureau, Executive and Command Staff, you are hereby recognized as the Lubbock Police Department's Investigation Services Bureau Detective of the Fourth Quarter. As part of the Domestic Violence Squad, you investigate crimes that occur within a household, including assaults, stalking, injury to elderly and children, burglaries, criminal mischief, and robberies. These kind of cases are difficult because the victim often does not want to prosecute the suspect who lives in the house with them. Your chain of command noted that despite these difficulties, you are meticulous and thorough in your investigations. You approach each case with professionalism and compassion. You work closely with the victims and provide them with resources and assurances. Additionally, you provide a strong voice for the victims of domestic violence and the LPD by serving as a dedicated member of the Domestic Violence Task Force, which includes the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, Legal Aid, Women's Protective Shelter, Crime Victims Assistance, and Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners. Further, you serve as a voting member of the Child Welfare Board, which provides funding for children that are wards of the state residing in Lubbock County. This funding provides clothing, food, child safety seats, and other services to displaced children. The passion you have for the work you do and the people you assist is even more evident with your adoption of 2 foster children last year. Thank you for the job you have done and for what you continue to do for the city of Lubbock.
the LPD Supervisor of the quarter for the fourth quarter of 2018, Sergeant Mark Wims. You come up, please.
Sergeant Mark Wims, after nomination by the Investigation Services Bureau, Executive and Command Staff, you are hereby recognized as the Lubbock Police Department's Supervisor of the fourth quarter. For the last several years, you have served as one of 2 sergeants in the Crime Suppression Unit, a proactive enforcement group targeting habitual offenders and criminal organizations that cause crime sprees in the community. It was noted in the nomination, your chain of command, that you are regularly given special assignments regarding a particular crime problem in the community, and they are solved within a matter of days, if not hours. Because of the culture of success that follows the unit, there is exceptional interest by other officers to learn the methods and to aspire to someday be assigned to the unit. You have a reputation for being very humble in your role. However, it is through your leadership, team building, and use of database policing that has resulted in your unit producing outstanding numbers. The Crime Suppression Unit alone in 2018 has cleared 214 cases, served 346 outstanding warrants, made 315 arrests, seized over 1,300 grams of illicit drugs, recovered 40 stolen guns and 132 stolen vehicles, and recovered more than $3 million in stolen property. Your leadership represents all that is good with the Lubbock Police Department this past quarter. Thank you for the job you have done and for what you continue to do for the city of Lubbock.
So I looked over and said, that's good work. And Mark's response was, that's my guys, sir. That's why he's the supervisor of the quarter. Our 2018 fourth quarter civilian of the quarter is Whitney Mcclendon. If you could come up, please, Whitney.
Whitney Mcclendon, after nomination by your peers in the Investigation Services Bureau and with the support of the Executive and Command Staff, you are hereby recognized as the Lubbock Police Department's Investigation Services Bureau Civilian of the Fourth Quarter. Since August of 2011, you have been assigned to the Identification Section as a forensic specialist to process crime scene and analyze forensic evidence. You are the first civilian in the department to have been hired to do this job that previously only sworn officers performed. Your knowledge and expertise in digital evidence retrieval, blood spatter, crime scene mapping, forensic anthropology, crime scene photography, and in particular, the use of the automated fingerprint identification system has made you an invaluable member of the Lubbock Police Department team. You had extensive involvement in several high-profile homicide investigations. Your skills, attention to detail, work ethic, professionalism are highly regarded not only by your peers, but also by outside agencies. You serve as a LPD liaison to the Criminal District Attorney's Office, Medical Examiner's Office, and the Texas Department of Public Safety Lab. Outside of your work at LPD, you are an instructor at Texas Tech University and serve as a Lubbock coordinator for the Tim Tebow's Foundation's Night to Shine. Additionally, you have been involved in countless community service activities, such as collecting and donating hundreds of canned goods during Thanksgiving, designing baby onesies for new or expecting mothers during Christmas, and planning many women retreats for your church. It is clear to those who nominated you and your chain of command that you are integral to the success of the Lubbock Police Department, and the citizens of Lubbock are fortunate to have you in our community. For all these reasons, you are rightfully recognized as our Civilian of the Fourth Quarter. Thank you for a job well done.
You know, what's the big deal on those awards is they come from their peers and they come from their supervisors, and I can't say how much I appreciate supervisors recognizing good work. Whitney had a ton to do with the Zoe Campos case. You heard how Sergeant Wims and his team have been full speed on all of our property crimes efforts in the fourth quarter. If you want to know who's out catching car burglars, you look towards Officer Perkle, and one of our detectives that is all gas pedal and no brake on domestic assault and family violence crimes, crimes against kids. You look at Detective Stevens. That's awesome work. So we're going to move now to, if I can find that page. Oh, what happened to the page? Where's the page, Tiffany? There it is. I moved that. That's me. Sorry. Tiffany's awesome at taking blame, though, I want to tell you. So we're going to move to the employees of the year and how those are chosen. Again, each quarter we select officers and civilians from around the department, and then those are batched in. And so I want to go back and look at our quarterly awards. For the first quarter, the officer of the quarter was Officer Larry Barnhill. From the investigations and administrative side of the house, for the first quarter was Corporal Brandon Stewart from administration. Supervisor of the quarter was Sergeant Marion McGuire, and our civilian of the quarter was Dispatcher Randy Flood. The second quarter, our officer of the quarter was Officer Curtis Watkins. Our detective of the quarter was Detective Keith Anguish, and supervisor of the quarter was Sergeant Mario Gonzalez. Our civilian of the quarter was Regina Cervantes. For the third quarter, our officer of the quarter was Officer Michael Music. Our from investigations and administration from the academy was Officer Jared Flood, and the supervisor of the quarter was Lieutenant Keith Woodard. Our civilian of the quarter was Lauren Sanchez. And as we just went over for the fourth quarter awards, Officer Colton Perkle, Detective Sadie Stevens, Sergeant Mark Wims, and civilian forensic specialist Whitney Mcclendon. So I'll go ahead and read all of the our yearly awards. For the officer of the year, the 8 chosen for officer of the year, and then the administration and detectives were pulled together. And of those 8, Officer Curtis Watkins, if you'll come forward, is the 2018 Officer of the Year. Our Supervisor of the Year for 2018, Sergeant Mark Wims, if you'll come forward. And our 2018 Civilian of the Year is Forensic Specialist Whitney Mcclendon. You'll come back.
Officer Curtis Watkins, you were one of 8 officers in 2018 that received a quarterly recognition award for outstanding work performance. The awards approval board judged your work for the 2018 year as most exemplary and worthy of the 2018 Officer of the Year award. Your proactive policing and knowledge of participants of criminal activity distinguished yourself in the Field Services Bureau. Throughout the year, your efforts have resulted in the recovery of stolen property, seizures of illicit drugs and proceeds, and numerous arrests. Your work ethic and skills have earned the respect and admiration of your peers and have positively impacted the citizens of Lubbock. You have represented the Lubbock Police Department with class and distinction. Thank you for improving LPD and the community we serve. Congratulations, Officer of the Year for 2018. Sergeant Mark Wims, you were one of 4 supervisors in 2018 that received a quarterly recognition award for outstanding work performance. The awards approval board judged your work for the 2018 year as most worthy of the 2018 Supervisor of the Year award. As we just heard, you have an outstanding reputation for accomplishing objectives with the Crime Suppression Unit and sharing the methods of success with others in the department. The results of implementing intelligence-led policing practices resulted in hundreds of arrests and millions of dollars in recovered property by your unit in 2018. Your leadership has brought out the best in your unit and serves as a great example of what can be accomplished to other supervisors in the department. Thank you for the work you have done in 2018 on behalf of the department and the citizens of Lubbock. Congratulations, Supervisor of the Year for 2018. Whitney Mcclendon, you were one of 4 recipients that received a quarterly recognition award for outstanding work performance in 2018. The award's approval board judged your work for the 2018 year as most worthy of the 2018 Civilian of the Year award. As we just mentioned, your knowledge and expertise as a forensic specialist has made you a highly respected member of the Lubbock Police Department Identification Section. Your outstanding work ethic and professionalism on several high-profile cases has represented the department well and has greatly impacted the community you serve. Your involvement in charities that benefit the community also speaks well of your character. Thank you for being such a positive influence on LPD and the community. Congratulations, Civilian of the Year for 2018.
Sergeant Wims offered to trade me the trophy for Officer Watkins. Fair enough. So we are, you know what, I'm going to tell you that the highlight of this job is handing out awards like that to people who've gone that extra distance and done such an awesome job. And so it truly is the most rewarding part of this. So we're going to move to our retirements, and I'm going to stand that up real quick. We got a lot of going away presents for people, so if I could get retired now, Deputy Chief Roy Bassett to come up here with me, please. Don't just use the stairs, Roy. Careful. One up over there. Over here. Figure out which one this is. Roy started with the PD right before the Dead Sea got sick. So I'm going to go over a couple things from Roy's, from Roy's history with the police department, give him a chance to say a couple of words, and then we've got some awesome tokens of our appreciation. Roy was hired with the Lubbock Police Department February 2nd in 1987, making $8.89 an hour. That's right, and it was a lot of money, and I'm going to tell you because at the time, Roy was unemployed.
Absolutely.
That is true. Some of the jobs that Roy held prior to that, though, and that's what I love about looking back and finding nice stuff to say about folks. Roy worked on a ranch. I don't know that Roy owns any boots. If you do, I don't know that, but. Roy and I have been friends for all of my career. He started here before me, obviously. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree from Texas Tech University in telecommunications. I think I knew that. It has a minor, I guess, in English. That's surprising. And but yes, he quit a job because, quote, they were firing people for no reason at all, and he wasn't going to wait around to be next.
Also true.
Yeah, so he was unemployed when he started here. He also worked at an upholstery shop. Mainly he was going to school, though. He grew up in Ballinger, or in the area of Ballinger. Roy's time with the police department, truly, there's no job, no place he wasn't, that he didn't touch, that he didn't go through. His first assignment was on the evening shift. He transferred into detectives in juvenile, and that's where I first met him. He was a juvenile detective. That was in 1991. He promoted to corporal in 1998, and then promoted to sergeant in 2001, and was promptly moved to evening shift patrol. Later went to administration in 2003. He promoted to lieutenant in 2004, and promptly went to midnights. That was at the same time I promoted to lieutenant, and I was on evenings. Actually, I was on flex, and Roy was on midnights. And I've got a story. That's where a couple of the stories. I had to be careful about the stories that I've got for Roy. Went back to administration in 2003, and he did some time in internal affairs. Starting in 2004, he was the public information officer. Fits right in with his communications degree. He went to special ops in 2008. And earned his Master Peace Officer Certificate. Well, we started paying him for it in March of 2008. I don't know when he earned it. But at any rate, Roy has a Master Peace Officer's certification. He took over went to the academy as a lieutenant in 2011 and promoted to captain and took over our traffic accident investigation section in 2012. Some more time in administration. I rarely have to go to 2 pages for somebody's assignment history, but Roy, though, who has moved around the police department, is like a gypsy. Went to special operations in 2015, and most recently, and this is what I'll spend just a couple of minutes on, he went to what used to be a patrol captain's position. We've changed that, and we've reorganized. As we prepare to decentralize into substations, we've got to have key leaders that would take over substations. Now, Roy bailed out before we got to that point. We'll get to that in just a second, too. That new position is the rank of deputy chief. Now, it's commensurate and it's equal to the captain rank, but we have taken some of those and made them deputy chiefs. And so Roy was the deputy chief over what is our North Patrol District, which includes a vast number of officers. It includes resources. It's truly where the rubber meets the road, and we started focusing on what that position really entails. And Roy, as I sat down and looked and said, who do we want in these positions? And at first, I think Roy said, wait a minute, you're taking me out of special ops, a job I love, and you want me to go to patrol. But as I sat down and explained it and ordered new badges that said Deputy Chief, I hope that Roy understands that actually you're one of the ones that I want to go out and manage what's going to be one of the most important changes and evolutions in the Lubbock Police Department. And that is, as we decentralize into substations, that position that Roy is retiring from is crucial. And so Roy retires as a deputy chief with the Lubbock Police Department. Now, we don't have retired deputy chiefs badges in yet because we didn't anticipate you going because Michelle McCord has stolen you, in my humble opinion. However, nonetheless, we have those on order, and we'll get you one of those. The one that I'm going to hand you shortly is make-believe. Nonetheless, Roy retired January 4th of 2019 and is now the Friendship Independent School District Chief of Police. So congratulations to Roy for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hasn't had time to order uniforms, obviously. A couple of quick stories that I'll briefly tell. Roy is there for you when you need him. Like if you are high and need a ride back from Ruidoso, Roy will drive you. If you've broken your hand and you have pain meds, Roy will drive you back from Ruidoso. That's a long story we can get into later. It involves a snowboarder or a trucker hat and me and a pair of skis. Roy and I have been good friends a long time. We broke in the Nextel phones when we got those, and they have the push-to-talk feature, and both of our captains finally told us to quit acting like truckers with CBs. They were tired of hearing them in the middle of staff meetings go off and ask if you had your ears on. And nonetheless, that was at the point where I downloaded the CB McCall song Convoy and gave it to Roy as a present. You remember that, right?
I do.
Okay. Never did get to actually give him the Eastbound and Down Jerry Reed song because we were told to quit. The other story that I will not tell the complete one of is that Dale Holton was the assistant chief in patrol and had never invited lieutenants to staff meetings before, and finally expanded that to bring lieutenants in. And when it was over, I had been told by Randy Franklin that I didn't have anything when the meeting was over, and I held to that. But Roy had something when Dale Holton asked if anyone had anything, and Roy asked a question about a particular motor officer writing a ticket to a particular detective. Many of you know what I'm talking about. And Roy referred that to an officer that had been let go a little while earlier over a traffic stop. I'm going to leave it at that. And then I had something to add to it, and lieutenants were never invited to staff meetings again. we ruined it for everyone past that time. So at that, I'll close that out, and I'll say that I'm happy for you. Congratulations, but I am sad to see you leave. So congratulations. We're gonna let you say a couple words, and I got some trinkets for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Some of you may know that my father was a Methodist minister, and so with that upbringing, seeing a crowd like this, you know I'm going to have a word or two to say, and we may pass the plate at the end. Thank goodness that is not actually the story I thought he was going to tell about me and Dale Holton, and I can tell you that that story meant that I was never invited back to the Citizens Police Academy. So in 1986, late 1986, I had just graduated from Texas Tech, and about the only thing I could still afford was a newspaper, and there was an ad in there that said, drive our company car and make almost $20,000 a year. And I thought, good Lord, how will I spend all that money? And so I've been blessed in this career. When I was at the academy, I remember something that Greg and I have in common is we tell people, and I told the recruits that were coming through, if you do this job right, it will be the most fun you've ever had in your life. And I don't know that I've always done this job right, but I will tell you, I have had more fun in this job. And in the 32 years that I was there, this department absolutely became my family. And while I have moved on, I haven't moved far, and my family is still here. And I will tell you, I want to say I'm very pleased to be sharing this occasion with my friend Robert Hooke. And I can tell you almost to the minute, if you Google the night that Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear in the ring, that's the night that I met Robert Hooke. We were assigned to ride curfew patrol, but Brian McNeil had got the pay-per-view on that fight, and we decided that we would give him a grace period until after the fight for the juvenile delinquents to get home. And so we might have wasted a little bit of the city's money that night, but I think the statute of limitations is up on that. So congratulations to you, Robert, on your retirement. I will tell you real quick, one of my first memories of Greg is, as he said, I was in juvenile crimes, and he was a young investigator in narcotics. And I was walking outside the police department, and this guy approached me, and he was clearly 6 different kinds of crazy. But he swore that he had information that was going to bring down every drug dealer in the city, and I said, I know exactly whose number I need to give you. And Greg probably turned him into a good CI. And I will tell you just one more thing real quickly, and I'm going to steal a little bit of Greg's thunder because, quite frankly, I have the microphone and I can. And I'm going to tell you a story about Ray Mendoza, who's going to be up here in a minute. Ray Mendoza and I were both lieutenants in 2011, and we took the captain's test, the exact same captain's test, the exact same day. We made the exact same score on that test. But because I had seniority as a lieutenant, I went a little higher on the list. I was lucky enough to promote off of that list. And as luck would have it for Ray, my first assignment was as his captain. And I got to tell you, from my perspective, that would have been tough for me to go to work for a guy that couldn't even beat me on a test. But Ray Mendoza is the kind of guy, I bet most of you don't know that story because it's not something that he dwells on. Ray Mendoza is a good friend. We had a great time working together. I could not be more proud that me moving out of the way makes a spot for Ray to promote. Ray Mendoza is a good person, and he is going to be a great captain for this department, so congratulations to you. I will tell you just real quick, because I know I've been up here already a long time, but I remember when I was a young officer, I always heard, you're not going to believe how fast it goes, and that's absolutely true. And then I remember hearing, when it's time to go, you'll know when it's time to go. Well, I don't know that I knew it was time to go. I could see that light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you know, you've been there 32 years. It's probably time to start thinking about something else. And so when the opportunity presented itself to be the friendship chief, it's not something I was necessarily looking for, but I can't tell you how honored I am to have that position. I can't tell you how honored it has been for me, what an honor it has been for me to give my service and 32 years to the citizens of Lubbock. This is the greatest city in the world. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud to have worked here. Thank you very much.
I wasn't going to say anything till later, but we're going to promote Ray to captain.
Was that a surprise?
Yeah, I don't even think Ray knew. So I'm going to read this real quick. Deputy Chief Roy Bassett is hereby recognized for generous and unselfish service to the citizens of Lubbock. Congratulations and best wishes upon your retirement after 31 years of meritorious service to the City of Lubbock Police Department Field Services, signed the 4th day of January 2019 by the Honorable Daniel M. Pope, Mayor, and all of our City Council members.
All right.
You're just gonna have to hear me. It's not like I need that microphone anyway. We have a clock from the City Council and the City Management for Roy.
Thank you very much.
You bet. You're gonna put some of this down. I'll read the inscription on this. For 30 years, Deputy Chief Roy Bassett has stood the watch over our city and its citizens, where our citizens lived, worked, played, and slept in safety and peace. And today we say, Chief, your watch stands relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led, so that you may now enjoy the same safety and peace you have long earned in countless hours of service to your fellow man. And then what we provide also every day for the last 31 years, nearly Roy has walked in and out of the Lubbock Police Department and walked underneath an American flag and a Texas flag that flies nonstop. We don't take it down. And so we send him on his way with a flag of his choice. He chose to have an American flag. And I'll read the certificate that goes along with it. The flag of the United States of America presented to Roy E. Bassett. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the Lubbock, Texas Police Department on January 9th, 2019, in honor of your retirement and 31 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Lubbock, signed by me, the Chief of Police. Congratulations.
I should have brought a tote bag or something.
We should start giving this, right? And then, being a police officer, and even though Roy has gone into another police job, nonetheless, this is not a job and it's not a career, it's an identity. It's part of who you are, especially after doing it for 3 decades. And that continues on. While you may not come into work every day, this is who he remains, and he'll always carry credentials from here on out. Don't forget.
Hold on. Let me tell you, in 1988, that was an awesome hairstyle right there. In 2019, just having that much hair would be pretty cool.
Over the mantle, I think, is good. We're going to move on. If I could get retired LPD Sergeant Robert Hooke to come up, please. That's a different swagger.
I was going to do that, but he made me nervous when you talked about Roy.
Robert was hired a year before me, and I met him the next year when I got hired and got out of the academy. Robert was hired October 7th of 1991, And they had moved up the pay to $10 an hour even. That's easy money, $20,800 a year. And while we just got finished with the Texas Tech grad, Robert had graduated from Texas A&M University. I'll give him a minute. Okay, there's no applause, sorry.
Don't
With
hate
a-
me because I can read. Don't hate me.
With a Bachelor of Science in Education. Unlike Roy, Robert was employed. He was a teacher. He had been teaching down in the Houston area at the, I got it right here, what school district? Spring, right? I think that's what it was. Let me find that.
Yep,
That's right, Spring Independent School District. I think teaching history, is that right?
that's correct.
At the middle school level. And for someone that taught history, he seems to have been someone who tends to repeat it often, in my experience. Robert worked for the Boy Scouts during summers, growing up through high school. He was an Eagle Scout. I did not know that until I had the opportunity to speak at his son's Eagle Scout event. A very honorable thing that I had the opportunity to do. And from that I learned that not only was that did Tanner make it, but Robert was one as well. I was unaware of that before. One of the more interesting things that I learned is that Robert also drove a school bus and was the school bus dispatcher. I thought that was quite interesting. I know there's shock and awe in the audience at that right now. Robert came onto the department I already said in October, and Robert, like Roy, had a number of assignments across the department. And he and I made fast friends not long after I came on. We, again, came out of the same generation. He was immediately assigned to the evening shift in May of 1992. And I'll get into a couple things here in just a second, but we both rode the Overton area in a term that's called, we buddy-backed. I was South Overton and Robert was North Overton. So we took a lot of calls together, and we would basically, every time we would find a prostitute in our given area, we would send her to the other one's beat. And when we finally realized that, we started pushing them to the downtown area where Mark Long rode and didn't realize it. And eventually, we got told to stop doing that. There's a lot that goes along with being told to do stuff. Robert promoted to corporal in April of 1996. He moved into narcotics. It is one of the first of many assignments into special operations in 1997, where he was an undercover detective. He promoted to sergeant in March of 2000 and was promptly put on the desk and made a desk sergeant on evening shift. He moved to the academy short time after in 2001 and went back out to special operations in 2008 as a sergeant. Earned his Master Peace Officer Certificate, or at least, again, we started paying him in 2008. I don't know when he earned it. I'm going to leave out the one transfer where Robert and I had a chance to work together again. I had a much better time than Robert did. I'll leave it at that. Robert went to accident investigation in 2012, which I think was one of the highlights of his career. I remember he enjoyed that a lot. As he did at the academy. I think that was one of the highlights for him. In 2015, Robert went back out to special operations, where he remained until he's retiring right now. And it was really one of the things when looking at that, and I had the opportunity. There was an opening in special operations, and there wasn't anyone I was even inclined to say needed to be out there besides Sergeant Hooke. And so that's how he went out there in December of 2015. Robert was a field training officer. I did not know you were a breath test operator.
I was.
Yeah,
I was.
I know.
There's some science in that.
Well, it seems to be unremarkable because I was unaware. I saw that though. But anyway, and you were an academy instructor. Awesome stuff that I found in there. I looked through so much of this. So a couple things. And it's not dissimilar. I looked at both of their files, tons of commendations, over a dozen in both of their files, all kinds of commendations. And I never talk about negative stuff, but I can't resist bringing up Robert backing into a Fort Worth police car. in Fort Worth. I never knew that happened. You'd think, as good of friends, you'd have let me know that that happened. I thought that was interesting. A lot of the things that I saw in there, there's when you see those commendations, and it's the same thing that was in Roy's file. People talk about professionalism, going out of their way, things like that. But a couple things that I saw in Roberts that I wanted to point out was fair and just and compassionate. I can't tell you how many letters I saw and pulled out that were from the public that talked about Robert going the extra distance and being fair and just and then compassionate. Over and over that was described in there. But then again, this morning, Robert texted me a picture of me disciplining him exactly 2 years ago today. 2 years ago. 2 years ago today, he was in the office and he put that picture on a coffee mug for me. So that's not ever lost too. That's why I felt this. So a couple of things I want to point out too, a couple of stories. Again, I've got to be cautious on a lot of these, but one of the things that Robert and I enjoyed the most was it was a bit of a competition on who could make Sergeant Rylant the maddest.
Ooh, I won.
Yeah, Robert, and I'm going to tell you where Robert won. Is where Danny Rylant had one of the items that he had the most pride on was a tape measure. That, yeah, you see, so that he would measure, it doesn't matter what, there were two things. One was sharpening a pocket knife. Yeah. No way to get to that, but the tape measure was a long one that you could, a real tape measure, you just spin it up, and Robert happened to be coming towards the PD while, for whatever reason, Sergeant Rylant was measuring the street. I don't know why, because streets are typically a given width, but I'm out there, and a couple people are out there, and I don't know what Robert was thinking, but he decided not only would he drive over it, but he would accelerate as he went over it. And literally shredded that tape, and the whole squad had to feel that pain that Sergeant Rylant had. It was nothing shy of remarkable. And then it was Robert's idea, and Chief Esparza is here, and it was. I want to clear everything up right now, Thomas. It was Robert's idea for us to go to 6th and Q and beat all the sergeants to coffee. That was Robert's idea, and I'll set the stage for that story. We would leave briefing, and all the sergeants and the captain and the lieutenant go to the pancake house and have coffee at the beginning, and all the troops go out and take the calls. And Robert said, let's go to the pancake house right away, and we'll just act like we're getting coffee, and when they come in, we'll leave. And I said, it's a terrible idea, Robert. There's no reason, why would we do that? Let's just go. Let's just
These are
go.
lies.
No, they're not. And he
how that happened.
said the famous words, it'll be hilarious. I said, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's give it a whirl. So we go there, and it was funny. And we're sitting there, and we're having coffee. Here comes Captain Esparza. Here comes the lieutenant, whoever that was, and like 5, 6, 7 sergeants, including who? Sergeant Rylant. We get up like we're going to leave. We're laughing. It's funny. And Captain Esparza says, where are y'all going? Sit down. No, come on. We don't want to run y'all off. Sit down. Have a seat. And we had to sit there. Like 40 minutes being grilled on what all was happening on the shift. Nice. It was incredibly nice. And then the story that I won't tell is when I put Robert's 1993 Chevrolet Caprice police car for sale on the Thrifty Nickel. Because Robert ended up winning that battle, I'm going to leave it alone at that because I'm going to let you all think that I won and leave it at that. You'll have to get the rest from him. So I'm gonna turn that over to Robert and say a couple words. And I just want to say that, you know, I guess it's time. I guess you're ready to pull the plug and go.
Ready to go.
Sad to see you leaving. Robert and I have been friends a long time, and well, we don't buddy back anymore. It's like Roy said, doing this job is the most fun you'll ever have, and I've sure had a good time doing it with you.
I kind of wish I'd gone before Roy because I had forgotten that this opportunity came up, and so I am completely unprepared. And so, one, Greg knows exactly why Danny was measuring the street, and it was because of Greg, because somebody tried to run you over in front of the PD that time. That's, okay. And he's not exaggerating on how mad Danny was. Oh my God. To the point where I went to, it used to be Builder Square, and bought a tape measure, and I gave it to Danny, and then I got in trouble because I gave a gift to a peace officer, and Danny, I think he wrote me up for that. I'm trying to replace equipment. There's too many stories to tell. I look around the room and it's pretty awesome. I guess this is what I want to tell you. So the civilians that are in this room and that are at the PD that aren't here, and the men and women like y'all that are actually doing the work back in the back, carrying a silver badge, y'all are the ones that really do the work. The successes are yours. You don't get credit. Thank you. I'm not moving. My kids are still living here. My wife and I are still here, and I need you to keep doing what you're doing. If you're lucky enough to have a gold badge and you supervise those people, take care of them. It's your job. They need you. So take care of them. And that includes everything. Becca Castillo was on my squad until Friday. And she said, make sure you give a shout out to your best squad ever. And I can tell you, I've had some damn fine squads. And I have had people make me look really, really good. I tell guys when they're about to promote to sergeant, I said, if you'll just try and accomplish the mission and take care of your people, that's it. Accomplish the mission and take care of your people. You'll be in the top 10% of sergeants down here. And that's me. I don't bring a whole lot to the table, but we tried to accomplish the mission, and I tried to take care of my people. And I have made some bad mistakes, and I would like to have a lot of them back, but I was always trying to do the right thing. And so it's funny when people find out you're leaving, they want to come up and tell you about every time you've ever said anything mean to them. You're like, oh. I don't even remember that. And when you're the academy sergeant and there's a role to play out there, people come out, hey, remember when you said that? What? I would never have said that. And everybody's like, oh yeah, you said that. And so I apologize. There's a lot of people in this room that I probably owe apologies to, and I know it. And I'm very grateful for everybody. I'm grateful for my family. Thank you for putting up with it. It's time. When I found out Roy was leaving, I texted him and I said, is it as hard, or are you having a harder time as I am? Or is it nerve-wracking? I don't remember the term that I used. And I'm going to keep this safe for work here. But Roy basically tested back. If you mean, are you waking up and you're thinking, blank, blank, blank have I done? Then yeah, I'm right there with you, because it's hard to go. But I will tell you this, when it's time, go. Don't stay so long that you're not happy. I'm leaving at the top of my game. I have a great command staff. I have, Becca, the best squad I've ever had. And I'm happy, but it's time to go. And so as hard as it is to leave, thank you for, it's time to go. Thank you, everybody out here. I can't name you out or anything like that. I probably need to shout out to Larry Manali. I drove on the wrong side of the road for like 20 miles when I was in FTO on the east side. This is a good story. And then I'm going to go, because I have some on Tiffany, but I'm not allowed to tell them. I'm driving, we're on the east side, it's midnight, so I'm in FTO, and Larry says, all right, traffic law review. And I said, all right, let's go. He says, the white line in the roadway should be to your left or your right as you're driving down the road. I'm like, this guy thinks I'm an idiot. Everybody knows the answer to that. Well, obviously, I'm driving on the wrong side of the road, and I didn't realize it. So, Larry, thanks for not cutting me that night. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm sure there's some more embarrassing things that are about to happen. Thank you all very much. The four of you that came here for me, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's it.
Sergeant Robert Hooke is hereby recognized for generous and unselfish service to the citizens of Lubbock. Congratulations and best wishes upon your retirement after 28 years of meritorious service to the City of Lubbock Police Department, signed the 8th day of February 2019 by the Honorable Daniel M. Pope, Mayor of Lubbock, and the rest of the City Council members. Your city clock. I'll read the citation. For 27 years, Sergeant Robert Hooke has stood watch over our city and its citizens, lived, worked, played, and slept in safety and peace. And today we say, Sergeant, your watch stands relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led so that you may now enjoy the same safety and peace you have long earned in countless hours of service to your fellow man. Congratulations. And again, Robert has come and gone from the Lubbock Police Department for 28 years. And we've had that flag, we've had an American flag and a Texas flag. That we don't take it down. He walks under that flag every day, day in and day out. And so we flew one on that flagpole, and we'll send that away with him. And I'm going to read that citation. The flag of the United States of America presented to Robert Hooke. This is certified that the accompanying flag was flown over the Lubbock, Texas Police Department on February 8, 2019 in honor of your retirement and 27 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Lubbock. Signed by me, the Chief of Police. And again, just like I said before, it's an identity. It's who Robert is. Robert is a police sergeant. He'll continue to carry credentials in his pocket from now on, and I'm proud to present these to you. Yeah. You don't want to carry it right now?
No, do I need to take the picture?
You need to take the picture. God knows we don't want that.
I think I look exactly the same.
All right, we're almost there. So we have to do the retirements before we can do the promotions, because we don't have the positions until those two dudes are out of the way. So with that, I'd like to call Lieutenant Ray Mendoza up. Lieutenant Mendoza will be promoting to captain. We're not going backwards. Captain Mendoza. Captain Mendoza will be moving into our Office of Professional Standards, and he'll be over our internal affairs investigations and our audit units. He'll be working directly for me in the police administration. If I get Detective Carlos Pisano to come up, please. Detective Pisano will be promoting to sergeant. He's been in our investigation side of the house. He'll be going to patrol, and he'll be on the desk as serving as one of our desk sergeants. I'm going to have Officer Conklin come up, please. Officer Conklin is promoting to detective, and he'll be in our investigation section. One thing is for sure, our promotion system is not based on favoritism. It's not a good old boy system. It's not blemished by any kind of biases or anything like that. It's up to the hard work by these individuals, and it's how much sacrifice they put into it. But what I know personally as well, it absolutely does not occur in a vacuum. It takes the support network that I talked about in opening this ceremony. It takes family commitment, takes time out of their personal lives. They're not allowed to study on duty. They have to put their own effort and their own sacrifice into it, and each of them have chosen a significant other to come up and pin their new badges on them. I believe it's each of their spouses, and that is a symbol to show gratitude for the entire team effort it takes in their personal lives to attain promotion under a civil service system. So if I could get those folks to come forward, we'll honor you with a moment for you to pin their new badges on their uniforms, please. new leadership in the Lubbock Police Department. That concludes our ceremony. If y'all could spend a little bit of time congratulating all of our promotees, our retirees, and our awardees. We have refreshments in the back, and again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate everyone in attendance to honor these folks. It truly does mean the world to me and to all of our folks. Thank you.